Coming up on Vegas Nation Game Day, a rivalry renewed?
I mean, you can find a smart aleck bus driver in Kansas City who made some snide comments when we got on the bus. Maybe that's why we drove around the stadium, just to tick him off.
And we hear from NBC's Michelle Tafoya ahead of the Raiders' Sunday night primetime matchup.
What he brought into Tampa Bay, how that ended, going to the broadcast booth, what he brought to that, and then why he just needed to come back. And
Chiefs, Raiders, it's the biggest game of the season so far, and we break it all down for you. Vegas Nation Game Day kicks off right now.
This is Vegas Nation Game Day. Brought to you by Meineke and your local Meineke dealers. When you shop for quality, shop Meineke.
The Vegas Nation truck has returned to Allegiant Stadium, where at 5:20 this evening, the Raiders will host a primetime matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. Good morning, everyone, and welcome into another edition of Vegas Nation Game Day. I'm your host, Cassie Soto. Joining me once again in the studio is Review Journal NFL writer Adam Hill.
Yeah, and so far the biggest Raiders win of the season was the 40-32 upset of the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. Today, the Chiefs come to Las Vegas for the chance to avenge what is still their only loss of 2020.
And with Thanksgiving just around the corner, if you can believe that, we are so thankful that all of you are joining us today, whether it's on Cox Your View, Facebook, YouTube, or VegasNation.com. We will help you get ready for today's primetime matchup. Now let's go live to Allegiant Stadium, where our team, Heidi Fang, Ed Graney, and Vinny Bonsignor, have some storylines. Heidi.
Thanks, Cassie. It's your Allegiant Stadium crew, and we are here at where the battlegrounds will be between the two top teams in the AFC West. And before we get into what can happen in this rivalry game between the Raiders and the Chiefs, Vinny, we need to look back at what the Raiders got right against the Broncos.
Well, 5 turnovers that they forced, including 4 interceptions. They ran the ball for 200 yards for the second time in 3 games. They got a constant pressure on Drew Lock, the Denver quarterback. And after a slow start offensively in the first half, they got after it in the second half and made that a blowout. You want to be a good team, you do what good teams do. You take care of business. You don't dilly-dally around, and you put your foot on a neck and snuff the life out of a more inferior opponent. And that's what they did against the Denver Broncos. Obviously, it's a different animal with the Kansas City Chiefs coming into Allegiant Stadium. But if they follow that kind of a blueprint, they should be in a good position to make this a competitive game and give themselves a chance to win this game.
All right, Ed, lots of storylines heading into this one now with the Chiefs and the Raiders. What do you see as the key for this Raiders team right now against these Chiefs?
Offensively, it's easy. They got to score 30-plus, right? Pat Mahomes does not lose games in terms of teams that don't score 30. You have to score 30-plus. So offensively, you know what you have to do. Defensively, you have to do what you did to him in the second half at Arrowhead. Get after him, apply pressure. They did a really good job in that 40-32 win last month. If they can get to him and make him a bit uncomfortable, like Vinny said, I believe they can make it a game.
Well, there you have it. For the Allegiant Stadium crew, we'll be back with you later in the show. Back to you.
Thank you, guys. Well, now for our third storyline, it looks like the coronavirus will not leave the Raiders alone. Adam, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, and we actually have some breaking news on this because it looked like a lot of those Raiders that were out all week, that weren't able to practice, that weren't able to be a part of the team for the entire week as they prepared for the Chiefs, were going to be back. Not all of them are back. LaMarcus Joyner came off the list yesterday. Looked like he was going to be able to play. He has been placed back on the list this morning. So no LaMarcus Joyner. Still Corey Littleton is on the list. Cleve Ferrell on that list as well. And Trent Brown from a couple weeks ago remains on the list. So 4 Raiders still on that list. But everyone else that was from the defense, the entire defense
yeah,
was
everybody
out
there. Yeah.
for the whole week without time to prepare for the Chiefs. They are now back, and they should be able to play today. So shorthanded for the Raiders, but not as bad as it maybe could have been.
Breaking news, I think you need a defense to play against the Chiefs.
Yeah, kind of important.
Right? Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and check in here. The internet has been busy, and Review Journal multimedia journalist Leandre Fox has this look at social media. This social media update is sponsored by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable.
Good morning, Vegas Nation. Leandre Fox here with an early dose of social media. And we've heard all week about the victory lap. Feels like an opportunity to give this game just a little more edge on top of the first game being an upset. And in general, this hasn't really been a rivalry since the Chiefs lead the series 12-3 since 2013. But The Victory Lap was also an opportunity for the Raider Nation to flex a little bit on social media. The Silver and Black faithful really showed their creativity throughout the week on all social platforms, and I love it. I love the confidence, I love the trolling, I love the jokes. And if the Raiders win again, I can only imagine what they'll come up with. Now let's check out television host Carson Daly, who got on the Today Show this week rocking a Raiders suit jacket. Now, Daly is a huge Raiders fan. If you remember in 2015, he won an Emmy, and that same day, all he wanted was a Raiders beer can. He ended up getting it, and he cracked it open on the Today Show that week, celebrating in style, the way the Vegas Nation crew would if J.R. Starkis would come and make his drinks in studio. Finally, this wouldn't be a social media segment if I didn't talk about the newest feature on Twitter, Fleets. The Raiders at Allegiant Stadium wasted no time posting their first Fleets. The players posted some motivational quotes, a couple shots of them in action, basically everything they put on their Instagram stories, because that's basically what Fleets are. But it's another way for you all at home to keep up with your Raiders on social media. Now that does it for me. Cassie, Adam, back to you guys.
Thanks, Dre. Well, Raiders fans, we want to see how you support the Silver and Black. You can post it on Fleet, I guess, too. And now we're offering some swag in return. It's the Vegas Nation Fantastic Photo Contest. Just post your photo with the hashtag VNWeek11 to enter. The winners are selected each and every Monday. Let's go ahead and take a look at these photos here. Oh, again, the family. I love a good family shot here.
Start them young. You got to start them young as a football fan. There's no question. So a good job by them. And very cool helmet there in that case.
Looks autographed by somebody up there on top. Can't see from here, but that's
also
love it.
Safety. The Raiders face mask.
Yes.
Very, very important.
Very cute. It looks homemade. I love that. Let's see what else we got. Okay, this is memorabilia if I've ever seen some. Look at these pins.
Yes, and including the baby in the bottom left corner, right away. Like, we are suckers for babies and pets here on the show.
There's two. There's one on the right-hand side, too. Look,
there you go. So
toddler.
that is always a way to get into our hearts.
It is. It is. Send us your Raiders baby pictures. We love it. What else we got?
Yes.
Not a baby, but it's okay.
Okay. This works,
cool.
too. Yeah, we're in for this, too. Some very, very good. I think that's Homegate.
Homegate, yeah.
Homegating, yes. That's good. I like that.
it.
And a good way to enjoy the stadium without... we're not allowed in the stadium yet, but very nice.
So they give those Raiders popcorn boxes out in the press box. I might admit here that I've had probably 15 of those boxes. I've consumed
you
them
crush
so far.
those.
I do.
Yeah, there's no question.
I do. Any more? Let's see what else. Oh, here we go again. Love it.
More safety. I like this.
More safety, more babies.
Mask up, everyone. Very important. I like it.
Very important here. Let's see what else we got. Oh,
it's us.
It's us.
That's us. Pretty sure.
There we go. Well, we need to acknowledge a milestone by our very own Adam Hill, who managed to take his 100th coronavirus test this week.
One.
Adam, is this the biggest accomplishment of your career thus far?
Sadly, yes.
It has to be, right?
No, this right here is, like, if you see this.
This is the first
one.
one.
No flinch.
No flinch.
That's the first one. No flinch at all. And, okay, now maybe there's a little flinch afterward. But I followed up some fighters. That was at a UFC event.
Yes.
Before the NFL testing started, and followed up some fighters. All right, now I'm really, now I got the.
Oh, we got the finger prick.
Yeah,
this is the antibodies test,
either.
correct?
But a lot of fighters were very much reacting. They were screaming. They were in pain. Not me. I made it through.
They get kicked in the face, and you handle it better.
But I was acting, and as it turns out, that was me on the plane. Look at that. Very impressive. As it turns out, like, their noses are broken, so it's very hard to get the Q-tip in there. So I thought I was being very tough. Turned out I just haven't been punched in the face enough.
Let's go.
Yes.
Still to come on Vegas Nation Game Day, our own Sam Gordon looks at the numbers behind this week's matchup. We'll be right back.
John Gruden and the Raiders have returned to their roots the last 3 weeks, unleashing a potent rushing offense en route to 3 consecutive victories.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Vegas Nation Blitz is your weekly source for Raiders news.
We're going to stick together, bond together. We're going to make some changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz brings you fast takes and smart coverage.
When you look at the drop passes, that's concentration. It's not talent.
Vegas Nation Blitz, new episodes airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignor.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Fang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
Field Pass is sponsored by Scenic Brewing Company, your neighborhood brewery and sports bar.
Dre, when you let me go, you got to call me back. Go.
With your Field Pass, here from our Vegas Nation truck right outside of Allegiant Stadium, it's Ed Graney behind the wheel, Larry Meir here behind the camera, and I'm Heidi Fang. What are we doing? We're doing our laps around Allegiant Stadium right now just to check and clear the path in case there's any Chiefs fans out here, because as everybody heard earlier in the week, Andy Reid, head coach of the Chiefs, got a little bit riled up at the Raiders doing victory laps around Arrowhead Stadium after their 40-32 win back about a month ago. Now, the history is long-standing between these two teams, the rivalry, the hijinks, the antics, things that have happened between these two teams. Let's start it off with War Paint. War Paint was the horse in the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium back in the day when they were at Municipal Stadium. And in 1975, War Paint went out and did circles around the field after every single touchdown that was scored by the Chiefs. And that forced John Madden at one point to say, we didn't win the game, but we about damn near killed their horse. War Paint was retired in 1989 and then reemerged in the year 2009 against which team? The Raiders. So there's that history there about the War Paint and the horse. Now, back again, we have a guy here that was part of the construction team at Allegiant Stadium. Supposedly, in the year 2017, he buried a Chiefs jersey underneath the 50-yard line. So that reportedly happened just around the time Mark Davis is sending out $100 gift cards for steak dinners. Supposedly, one of the workers that's eating a steak dinner from Mark Davis had buried a Chiefs jersey underneath this stadium. In addition to all of that, we have the Chiefs and the Raiders driving buses around stadiums. Cole Ford, like Ed Graney, may have clipped a couple corners and even a tree at one point, driving the Chiefs bus around, the Raiders bus at one time when the driver may have been actually out and he stepped in to take the Raiders back to their hotel and driving the bus. He said he had experience, but guys, it was a bumpy ride for the Raiders on their way back to the Hyatt when Cole Ford, the kicker of the Raiders, was driving. And that's your history about driving things around here at stadiums between the Raiders and Chiefs. We'll look to see if that happens again after the game. Thanks, I'm Heidi Fang.
Who the heck let Ed Graney get behind the wheel? I don't know who's doing this. We've lost it all here. Well, before he was driving the Vegas Nation truck, Ed Graney sat down and discussed the Chiefs with someone who covers the team this week in this week's episode of Flip the Field.
That's right, guys. It's Flip the Field, and I'm pleased to welcome in Soren Petro, host of the program, Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Soren, thanks very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Vegas, one of the places I lived 3 years, man. So I love being on Vegas. Thanks.
That's awesome. Look, I'm not going to bury the lead here. Let's go with victory laps. Apparently, the Raiders were not happy with a bus driver the last time they were in Kansas City, and after they won, John Gruden said, you know what, let's see the Arrowhead Stadium one more time. We've now heard from Andy Reid, Travis Kelce. What is the Kansas City side of the infamous victory lap by the Raiders?
You know, Derek Carr's comments earlier about to have a rivalry, the Raiders got to win some games. I think that's kind of how the Chiefs felt like it. Okay, they won one game, but then the victory lap thing did kind of fire the Chiefs up. And I think Andy Reid's added to it. He was asked one question about it on his Zoom this week, and he answered it. But then 2 other times on questions that had nothing to do with the victory lap, he kind of took himself there, said it's not our style. That's not what we do. And so Andy Reid kind of set the tone on Monday with his first Zoom press conference that he didn't like it. And so I think that's kind of, resonated around all of the Chiefs fans.
Absolutely. And Kelsey as well said, you know what, if that's what they have to do, that's not our style. They obviously, with the rings, can talk what they want. I want to ask about Andy Reid, 18-3 after buys. Now, look, he's had good players. We understand that. That is a ridiculously good record, though. You know Andy Reid. Tell us maybe some intangibles other than the fact he has Pat Mahomes and all these great players throughout the years of why Andy Reid is so good after a bye week.
I think it's kind of the essence of why he's so good as a coach. I think Andy Reid, from whenever the season ends, beginning of January, beginning of February, where it was last year, that time in the offseason, I think he's better than anybody else. I think that's the secret to his program and why he's so successful is they prep so well going into the season. And so his record's good across the board, right? But then you give him extra time, and it's kind of like going back into the offseason. He gets a chance to go look at different things, prep out some extra stuff. And I think, it's just a chance to magnify greatness. He's already a great football coach. Then you give him more time. You're just giving him more possibilities to do things. So I think he's incredibly efficient. He knows exactly what kind of personnel he's got, what kind of talent he's got. And you give him more time to look back through more tape because he's relentless. I mean, still spending a lot of nights in the office. He's going to put the time in on your team. And so when he's got extra time, he's going to come up with some new things that you haven't seen yet on tape at all this year or maybe ever in his career.
Awesome stuff. Seren, we really appreciate the time. Thanks for taking a few moments. Let the people here in Vegas know about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ed, you're the man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much. Well, there you go, guys. It's Flip the Field with Seren Petro. We hope you know a little more about the Kansas City Chiefs now that we talked to him. Back to you.
Now our own Sam Gordon has his own take on the game against the Chiefs.
That's right. He looked at the numbers that explain how the Raiders won the first meeting and how they can do it again.
Thanks, team. Well, John Gruden and the Raiders have returned to their roots the last 3 weeks, unleashing a potent rushing offense en route to 3 consecutive victories. That's right, the Raiders' run game had struggled earlier in the year, but has just recently sandwiched 200-yard outings against the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos around a 160-yard performance against the Los Angeles Chargers. Those 3 games, if you average those yards, 190.7, that is first in the NFL the last 3 weeks. And now the Raiders are 6-3 with a chance to play the Kansas City Chiefs again at Allegiant Stadium on Sunday Night Football. For all the Chiefs' strengths defensively, they do have one big weakness, and that would be their rushing defense, believe it or not. That's right, the Chiefs this year allow 138.4 yards per game on the ground. That is the 4th worst mark in the NFL, 29th out of 32 teams. And on top of that, they have allowed opponents 5 times this year to eclipse the 140-yard mark, including the 144 the Raiders gassed them for on October 11th at Allegiant Stadium. The Raiders, of course, that was the upset victory, and the Chiefs only lost this year. If the Raiders can get that ground game going with Josh Jacobs, with Devontae Booker, and dare I say with Derek Carr, who has been using his legs a lot more this season than we've seen him do in the past, they can keep Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce and that Chiefs offense exactly where they want them, and that is on the Allegiant Stadium sideline. That's right, the Raiders were able to do that with their ground game in that October 11th matchup, holding the Chiefs to 24 minutes and 42 seconds of possession. That is their 2nd lowest time of possession this season. So there it is. If the Raiders can run the ball, chew up the clock, and keep Mahomes on the sideline, they bolster their chances to do the unthinkable and sweep the Kansas City Chiefs this season. I'm Sam Gordon. Those are the numbers.
This past week, the Raiders joined the National Football League in honoring those who have served to protect this nation.
As part of the team's Salute to Service, airmen from Nellis Air Force Base and Creech Air Force Base were given the honor of lighting the Al Davis Memorial Torch before last Sunday's game against the Denver Broncos.
The Raiders Foundation hosted a home gate event complete with game day food at the Southern Nevada State Veterans Home in Boulder City. Coming up next on Vegas Nation Game Day, we learn how to make this week's Vegas Nation cocktail. NFL Trivia is presented by Attack Law. The best defense is a good offense. Where did John Gruden and Andy Reid coach together for 3 seasons?
Was it with the Green Bay Packers, Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, or Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Vegas Nation Blitz is your weekly source for Raiders news.
We're going to stick together, bond together. We're going to make some changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz brings you fast takes and smart coverage.
When you look at the drop passes, that's concentration. It's not talent.
Vegas Nation Blitz, new episodes airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignor.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Fang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
Remember, you can read more about the matchup between the Raiders and the Chiefs in a special Game Day section in today's Review Journal. Ron Kantowski looks at the Raiders' rivalry with the Chiefs, including some of these central characters. After a long drought, big games are back for the Raiders. Ed Graney writes about 5 of the team's biggest games in the last 20 years. And Sam Gordon has a look at Andy Reid's record after a bye week and why sportsbooks have had to make adjustments to the odds they offer as a result. It's all in the Game Day section of today's Review Journal. You can pick it up at newsstands now, or you can start a subscription by visiting reviewjournal.com. Well, there's a lot of football to watch today, and if you're getting ready for a marathon of TV watching, J.R. Starkus has this week's Vegas Nation cocktail with a healthy amount of Thanksgiving flavor.
Welcome back, Vegas Nation. J.R. Starks with Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits again. This week, we're going to do a Week 11 cocktail that's going to be a bit themed towards the Thanksgiving holiday. We're going to use Patron Estate Release. All the agaves for this particular Patron were grown on the Patron estate versus sourced from all over the place. We're going to use a little bit of cranberry juice, some lemon sour, and some Fever Tree grapefruit soda. So this is going to be kind of a grapefruit or a holiday-themed Paloma. Here's how we make it. We're going to start with 1.5 ounces of our Patron Estate Release tequila, followed by 1 ounce of cranberry juice and 1 ounce of our lemon or lime sour. We're going to shake all these ingredients together. And then we're going to wind up straining this over fresh ice. So, we'll shake this together. Notice I haven't added the soda yet. Soda will come last. We don't want it to explode on us. So we'll add our soda to this mixture like so. And then we'll add our ice to our Collins glass. All the way to the top. This is a great cocktail to do when you have family over. Super easy, refreshing, not too sweet. Strain it over fresh ice like so. And then the garnish to make it holiday themed, you can do a little bit of rosemary, like so. You can even toast the rosemary, add some cranberries if you so desire. But that's the drink right there, the Thanksgiving themed Paloma. Cheers.
Thanks so much, JR. Now let's get back to our fast takes and smart coverage of today's game. Our own Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignor have this look at the Kansas City Chiefs.
Thanks, team. Really appreciate it. Vinny, we could do a whole show about the greatness of Andy Reid, the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. That's the best quarterback coach combination in the NFL right now, but the Kansas City Chiefs have a lot of other playmakers, and there's a lot of other components to this. What else makes them go?
Well, obviously Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. You can go on and on with everything that they do good, but I think it's important for the Raiders to remember this is not a perfect team. There's exploitable aspects to this Kansas City Chiefs team, and that's what you have to focus on, because to beat them, you have to attack those weaknesses. The run game on defense, they give up about 140 yards per game, which is near the bottom of the NFL. The Raiders are a great run team, especially over these last 3 weeks. That's something that they can exploit. A banged-up offensive line, no Mitchell Schwartz at tackle. Last time the Raiders played the Chiefs, they really got after Patrick Mahomes. They did it in a disciplined way that wasn't able to beat him with his legs. So that's something that they're going to be able to exploit. So it's important, again, for all the great things that the Chiefs do, for the Raiders to win, they have to exploit the weaknesses, and those are the type of things that they're going to have to do.
Vinny, the Raiders beat the Chiefs before, 40-32, October 11th at Arrowhead Stadium. If you had to identify one thing that the Raiders can carry over from that game into this game, what would it be?
Well, there's actually two. One thing that they didn't do, which was run the ball, because they weren't quite there in their run game at that point in the season. They are there now, and that's a strength of their team, a weakness of the Chiefs. So being able to improve on the run game from the last meeting to this meeting, A, but B, getting pressure on Patrick Mahomes, but doing it in a way that's disciplined. You can't let him beat you with his legs, and sometimes, a lot of times, when you get him out of the pocket, that's exactly what they'll do. They're going to have to keep a spy on him, whether that's Nick Kwiatkowski, Jonathan Abram. They're going to have to mix up their pressures, their blitzes. They're much more accepting of blitzing now over these last 3 weeks. So they have to stay with that, but they have to do it in a way that makes life difficult for Patrick Mahomes, but not in a way that he's going to be able to break your back by making those off-schedule plays.
Chiefs are definitely the class of the AFC West and maybe the class of the whole league, but they are beatable. It's been done before. The Raiders are the one team to do it this season. We will see if they can do it again. Back to you guys.
The Raiders have the Sunday night spotlight, and they are drawing plenty of interest at the sportsbook. Todd Dewey, a finalist, by the way, for the 2020 Nevada Sports Writer of the Year award, joins us now from Treasure Island. Todd, so great to see that you haven't forgotten the little people here. What can you tell us about today's betting line?
I'm just honored to be part of your show, Cassie, but thank you. Yeah, the line on this one opened, the Chiefs opened 6.5, and it was at 7 before the game was taken off the board at Las Vegas Sportsbooks in the middle of the week with all the Raiders players on the COVID list. Chiefs skyrocketed to 9-point favorites on Saturday, but the line is back down to 7.5 across the board at Las Vegas Sportsbooks here Sunday morning, including here at the brand new Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar at Treasure Island. There's been no sharp action reported on the game, but a professional sports bettor I spoke with took the Chiefs. Andy Reid's record after a bye is well documented, including playoffs. Reid's teams are 23-5 straight up and 20-8 against the spread after a bye. But the main reason the pro bettor I spoke with took the Chiefs is that the Raiders defense hasn't had time to practice and adequately prepare for this high-powered KC offense. Teams combined for 72 points, of course, in the first meeting, and the total is down to 56.5 and 57 around town for this one. The Chiefs actually have gone under the total in 5 of their other 8 games besides the Raiders, and the Raiders have gone under in 2 of their last 3 after starting with a 5-0-1 over-under record. If you want to take the Raiders to sweep the season series and win outright, they're 3-1 on the money line. Hope all your wagers are winners today. Good luck, Cassie.
Todd, thank you so much. Well, remember, if you want to read Todd's recap of the betting action as well as Jim Barnes' Bad Beats blog on the NFL games, you can find all of that and more at reviewjournal.com.
It's been a busy first half on Vegas Nation Game Day, and there's plenty more to come in the second half of the show. Raiders legend Bo Jackson talks about what he's cooking up for folks at Allegiant Stadium. Kevin Cannon hits the road in the Vegas Nation truck and learns what folks in the Las Vegas Valley think about the Raiders and what dish they compare John Gruden to. And when we come back, NBC's Michelle Tafoya discusses her new podcast and shares what she discovered while working with John Gruden. Don't go anywhere.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Vegas Nation Blitz is your weekly source for Raiders news.
We're going to stick together, bond together. We're going to make some changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz brings you fast takes and smart coverage.
When you look at the drop passes, that's concentration. It's not talent.
Vegas Nation Blitz, new episodes airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignor.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Bang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
Welcome back to Vegas Nation Game Day, presented by Meineke and your local Meineke dealers. When you shop for quality, shop Meineke.
NFL Trivia is presented by Attack Law. The best defense is a good offense. The answer is A, Green Bay Packers. Gruden and Reed both joined Mike Holmgren's staff as offensive assistants in 1992.
Cassie Soto here with Adam Hill. Adam, as we just said, John Gruden and Andy Reid have a history.
Yeah, and here's what Reid had to say about facing Gruden again this week.
Get a little bit of rest and come back and get ready to play against the Raiders, who are a heck of a football team. We saw that yesterday, as we have on the games that are on our breakdown. So, again, we look forward to the challenge of playing them and in particular out there. So, yeah, listen, I think it's two good football teams playing each other. I don't think probably either team likes each other that much. Well, they listen, they won the game, so they can do anything they want to do. They end up winning the game. That's not our style, but we'll get ourselves back ready to play, and that's where we're at. Well, I haven't. I think they have, or they wouldn't have driven the bus around the stadium. So, but that, we don't. We just try to get ourselves ready for that team. It doesn't matter if you play them once, twice. We just get ready to play them.
The Chiefs are not happy about this whole bus dilemma.
No, they're not.
Well, since the Week 7 matchup against the Buccaneers was moved because of COVID-19 concerns, today's game is the first Sunday night football matchup at Allegiant Stadium, Adam.
Yeah, and that means NBC's Michelle Tafoya will be working her first Las Vegas game. The Emmy-winning reporter talked this week with Heidi Fang about her new podcast, which I did listen to. It's really good.
Really good, yeah.
Sports Uncovered, John Gruden and the Raiders, and her own history with the Raiders head coach.
I knew John when I worked with him on Monday Night Football for a couple seasons that we were together on ESPN. And I knew him as a coach before that, obviously, when he was with the Raiders the first time. And this whole story of trading for a coach is not unique, but this story is unique. And because it's come full circle now for John, being back with the silver and black, and there is so much detail that I didn't know, and some great storytelling by some of these players, people who were covering the team at the time. It's a really interesting sports story that deserves to be covered, and I think it shows you a lot about John and his passion for coaching, what it meant to him to have to leave Oakland what he brought into Tampa Bay, how that ended, going to the broadcast booth, what he brought to that, and then why he just needed to come back. And it's a really terrific story. The more that I talk to people, I thought, I'm so glad we're telling this.
When your experience working with John Gruden, for you, what personally stood out to you about him, the passion for the game and everything that he stood for as a coach and also as a personality?
Just still loved the game so much, loved film, loved quarterbacks, talking to quarterbacks, breaking stuff down with quarterbacks. There was a fun side. We did a lot of socializing pre-COVID on these games. You're like a little family traveling around the country to game. And I recall one time we were doing a Minnesota game. I live in Minnesota, so I had everyone over at the house. My son at the time was about 5. My daughter was about 2. And John went in there and threw the football with my son and held my little girl. And you just saw another side of him. And so there's so much to the guy, but there is an energy that is almost unmatched in anyone I've ever known that Gruden has, and I don't know how he sustains it. I really don't.
Adam, I know it feels like the season just got started yesterday, but we're in week 11, and now we are only 4 days away from Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and Review Journal photographer Kevin Cannon is certainly in the spirit. Let's face it, he's always
He's always in the spirit.
He took the Vegas Nation truck to Broad Acres Marketplace in North Las Vegas and asked some locals about football, the Raiders, and Thanksgiving.
What up, Vegas Nation? We got the Vegas Nation truck at Broad Acres Marketplace in North Las Vegas. This is where hundreds of families come every weekend to shop in the outdoor market. They've got everything from toys to tools, crafts, shoes, even coconuts. You want to get your hair cut, your taxes done? This is the place you need to be. With over 1,000 vendors, it's hard not to find what you're looking for. Let's see if we can find some football fans who can put their Raiders knowledge to work. Who's your favorite football team?
Favorite football team, Chargers.
Oh, but now the Raiders are here. Are you going to follow the Raiders?
Maybe if they were born here like the Knights, but no chance, no chance.
The Cowboys.
Cowboys. Now that the Raiders are in Vegas, are you going to follow the Raiders?
No. No. I mean, I'll go for the games, but still not following the Raiders.
My favorite football team is the Raiders.
All right. Who's your favorite football team?
I would have to go with the Raiders too, man.
Las Vegas Raiders, baby.
I'm from Chicago, so the Bears, obviously. Granted, we haven't been doing too good the last 4 weeks, but hopefully we could get it together.
Obviously the Bears, Chicago, baby.
Who's your favorite football player?
Currently right now, Herbert.
Who's your favorite Raider player?
Nobody.
It would used to be McFadden from the Raiders, or now Carr, because he's the quarterback, you know what I mean? He's a big part of the Raiders now, so I'd have to go with him.
Brian Urlacher.
Brian Urlacher, old school, 54, baby.
How many times have the Raiders played on Thanksgiving Day?
That I can recall, none.
7.
7? 7 more than they should have.
Man, I'll take a guess. I'll say like, what, 4?
7.
Twice?
7. When was the last time the Raiders won on Thanksgiving Day?
1984.
1968, Buffalo Bills.
Let's say 2014.
1968, Buffalo Bills. If John Gruden were a dish, what would he be?
Probably cranberries. I don't like them.
It's turkey. The ham. The ham. He would be the ham, bro. Definitely.
Probably the wine. I mean, I like wine. You know, wine. You know, it ages great with time. So.
Oh no, man, something spicy. Something spicy for sure.
Oh, the green beans, man.
Roast beef.
He'll be the peach cobbler.
Can you gobble like a turkey? Well, that's it for this week. Keep an eye out for the Vegas Nation truck rolling around town. Cassie, I'm sending it back to you.
Kevin Cannon needs his own show. Like, he's too big for us now.
There's always something happening, and it's always funny. I don't know what's going on in his shots, but they're great. I love them.
He's so good. Let's go ahead and get a status check, Adam. It's looking like offensive tackle Colton Miller might be ready to take the field again.
Yeah, he's actually able to get into full practice on Friday. He's questionable for the game, but I would say he's trending toward playing. He's a guy who had never missed a game, really hadn't missed a snap until missing the last 2 games. So you know he's really anxious to get back out on the field, no question about it. But he has been really, really battling to get back out there and really help the depth because they're really scrambling to fill those holes on the offensive line still. With Colton Miller back on the left side, Brandon Parker, who's played well, could go back to the right side where Sam Young has been kind of in and out of the lineup, and they can start to fill those roles again as they wait for Trent Brown to return and Richie Incognito, who's still on IR.
Right. Well, meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, defensive tackle Maurice Hurst was listed as questionable on the team injury report. What does that mean?
Yeah, only other player that was questionable besides Colton Miller was Mo Hurst coming into this game. Another guy he's missed the last 2 games. Listen, he has been really, really good for this team this year. I think quietly because, a defensive tackle, not many stats really to go with it, but he's really caused a lot of chaos on the defensive line. He's really impacted the run game of the opponent. So be really, really good for this Raiders team to get him back. Very important along that line. So, again, limited practice. We'll see. But I think he's trending in the right direction as well.
Yeah, and if you missed it at the start of the show, we'll go ahead and update you guys here that LaMarcus Joyner is now back on the COVID list, Adam.
Yeah, all the other players that were contacts are back and active. LaMarcus Joyner was activated yesterday off the COVID list. He's back on the COVID list today, so he won't go as well as Corey Littleton, Cleve Furl, and Trent Brown actually still on that COVID list as well.
Let's go ahead and take a trip across the league. Adam, the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks had a rematch of their own on Thursday night.
Yeah, and it wasn't as crazy. The first meeting was just up and down, just total chaos. This one a little bit more of a normal game, a little bit more defense was played. We saw Carlos Hyde and Kenyon Drake kind of go back and forth. Chase Edmonds got a touchdown for the Cardinals, but the Seahawks were able to come away with that victory. And the Seahawks schedule coming up is really, really easy. So that was a massive game in the NFC West.
Well, in about a half an hour, the Saints will host the Falcons, and they will have Taysom Hill under center.
For how long, we'll find out. We don't know. Listen, they've announced Taysom Hill as the starter. They're going to go with him. I think most people that were thinking about this game were expecting Jameis Winston to be the starter. I do still think Jameis Winston plays. They need to find out what they have in Taysom Hill. Last year, he was supposed to be the backup. Drew Brees gets hurt. They go to Teddy Bridgewater. This year, Drew Brees gets hurt. They go to Jameis Winston. So now I think some people in the organization are saying, wait a minute, we're paying this guy how much money, and he's not even the backup quarterback? Let's see what he has. Because I think if you're going to make a guy the quarterback of the future, he's got to play at some point. And if Drew Brees isn't there, you got to see what you have. But I fully expect Jameis Winston to be out there at some point today, and I expect Jameis Winston going forward to be the quarterback of the Saints, not Taysom Hill.
All right, well, when we come back on Vegas Nation Game Day, the Raiders share their reasons for being thankful. Stay right there.
Thankful that I keep hearing that, someone's coming closer and closer to the cure for this virus. I'm just kind of happy that we're able to be together and play football and compete and hopefully bring a little joy to somebody out there.
Obviously, my health, my family's health, my wife's health, our baby.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Vegas Nation Blitz is your weekly source for Raiders news.
We're going to stick together, bond together. We're going to make some changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz brings you fast takes and smart coverage.
When you look at the drop passes, that's concentration. It's not talent.
Vegas Nation Blitz, new episodes airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignor.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Bang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
Today's replay is sponsored by De Castro Verde Law Group. Our motivation is you.
When it comes to rivalries, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders have had themselves a few memorable battles on the gridiron, even some that have led the NFL to create new rules. Chiefs owner Lamar Hunt went so far to call the Oakland Coliseum the House of Horrors. John Madden once said after a Chiefs loss, "We couldn't beat the Chiefs, but we damn near killed their horse," since the horse had circled the field after every score in the Chiefs' blowout win over the Raiders. In the 1960s, the Raiders and Chiefs faced off a few times in playoff games. The rivalry really got brewing in the 1970s when tensions boiled over. On November 1st, 1970, the Chiefs and Raiders engaged in a bench-clearing brawl after Raiders defensive end Ben Davison dove into the Chiefs quarterback Len Dawson, helmet first, after he had run for a first down. Dawson was already down and Davison speared him late in the fourth quarter. Chiefs wide receiver Otis Taylor attacked Davison after the hit, and both players were ejected for their role in the fracas. The first down was later nullified. The Chiefs could not convert another first down and punted the ball away. The Raiders would tie the game with a field goal, with a final score of 17-all. By week 13, when the two teams played again, the tie proved to be costly. The Raiders won and clinched the AFC West Division title that week, beating the Chiefs 20-6. The game led to an NFL rule change where penalties like this would be enforced after the play instead of before. And that'll do it for our Game Day replay.
The Raiders are 6-3 and are defying a lot of expectations this season. So with Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday, I asked some of the Raiders what they are thankful for this year.
I'm just thankful for, playing here, football. I'm thankful that I keep hearing that, someone's coming closer and closer to the cure for this virus. I'm just kind of happy that we're able to be together and play football and compete and hopefully bring a little joy to somebody out there.
Obviously my health, my family's health, my wife's health, our baby, who will be here soon, and my kids, obviously, my family that's not with me. I'm thankful that even during this crazy time we can play football, and I can only imagine how I get, after just a few days inside the house. I need to get outside, I need to go do something, I want to get back to work, and so I'm thankful that we get to play football. Because there's a lot of people right now that would love to be back in work and things like that. So I'm thankful for a lot of things, and I appreciate you asking that question because this is a year where everyone looks at 2020. Oh my goodness, this. Oh my goodness, that. And I'm trying to look at it as 2020 is my year.
Obviously, my family. I have a baby girl coming in February. I have a great parents, but my wife is just someone who. You don't get to hang out with many people, right? Especially right now, but she's someone I'm able to hang out with and go home and just appreciate her being there for me and doing everything she does for me. So there's way more to be thankful for than we kind of communicate right now. Just an odd time, but there's a lot definitely to be thankful for.
Adam, I'm really thankful for you as a co-host here.
Stop it.
I knew that was going to make him uncomfortable. A certain generation of fans will remember that Bo Jackson ads that said Bo knows this, Bo knows that. You know what I'm talking about, Adam?
I do. You don't.
It was a few years before my time,
we
yes.
We had to do some lessons this morning before the show. But one thing Bo definitely knows is grilling. The Raiders legend recently held a virtual Grilling 101 session with season ticket holders. He also talked about some of the food items he's developing that eventually will be offered at Allegiant Stadium.
I wish I had a list of the products that I know that's going to be in Raider Stadium, but I don't at the moment because we're still working out the logistics of that. But I know that I will have some of my products. I'll be serving sandwiches in the stadium. I will be there in the stadium, and you never know. Somebody walk up behind you and touch you on the shoulder and ask to have a piece of your sandwich. It just might be me. You never know.
In addition to Todd Dewey, two more of our colleagues, Ron Kentowski and Ed Graney, are finalists for the Nevada Sports Writer of the Year award. Now we'll hear Ed's hot takes on today's rematch.
Thanks, Cassie. Hey, everyone. Well, here we are, the Raiders hosting the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs at Allegiant Stadium with a chance to pull within one game of the AFC West standings. But to earn that win and draw ever so close to the top spot, Las Vegas will have to continue playing as it has during this current 3-game win streak, and even much better. Look, everyone goes into a game against Kansas City with the same goal: keep Pat Mahomes and that high-powered offense off the field. Much easier said than done. But here's where the Raiders could surprise and have a solid start to sweep the 2 regular season games from Andy Reid's team. Consider just 2 stats. First, Las Vegas leads the NFL in third down conversion rate at 50.4%, an unheard of number by most accounts. Teams just don't go through seasons converting like this, but the Raiders have thus far in 2020. And the more they convert, the more the offense remains on the field. The more Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and all other Kansas City offensive weapons remain on the sidelines. Another number, 32 minutes, 16 seconds. That's the average time of possession for the Raiders, which ranks 3rd in the NFL. Over the last 3 games, that number's 33-12. The Raiders have kept opposing offenses off the field. In last Sunday's win against the Broncos, Las Vegas possessed the ball for more than 13 minutes in the 3rd quarter. Think about that, 13 minutes. How? What has been a patchwork offensive line due to several injuries has held up, and Josh Jacobs has that look we saw as a spectacular rookie running back. I can't tell you how the O-line is playing to this level, only that Tom Cable should absolutely be in the running for Assistant Coach of the Year in the NFL. Week to week, injury to injury, starter after starter going down. The Raiders have found a way to protect Derek Carr and get Jacobs going again. Las Vegas has averaged just over 190 yards rushing the past 3 weeks between Jacobs and backup Devontae Booker. They've controlled the clock, controlled the line of scrimmage, and now their record's 6-3. Sure, this is the ultimate test. Reid as a head coach is a ridiculous 18-3 after a bye week from which Kansas City now arrives to Las Vegas. But you have to believe the Raiders gained confidence about this matchup, not only how they played recently, but in that 40-32 win in Kansas City last month. We will see how much carryover from all of that shows up at Allegiant Stadium when the Raiders meet the Chiefs. I'm Ed Graney, and those are my hot takes.
Cassie Soto and Adam Hill here. Adam, I think it's time we had a social media check-in.
Sounds good.
This social media update is sponsored by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable.
All right, let's see. First up, we have Raiders history here, expecting Raiders defensive end Max Crosby to be mean to Patrick Mahomes there. It looks a little Patrick Mahomes.
2 things. First of all, I think be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
If you're like, I get it, and the Raiders obviously having fun with that first victory, but be careful. And by the way, Max Crosby said this week when he got drafted, John Gruden called him to say, "We just drafted you. We need you to go get Pat Mahomes." So this is his job. This is what they wanted to do from the beginning. They did a good job getting to him last time. 3 sacks, tied for a season high against Pat Mahomes. But you celebrated with the lap. You got this going. Be a little careful. It's a very explosive offense.
They're just trying to take stabs everywhere they can.
They are.
Next up, CBS Sports HQ compares Raiders running back Josh Jacobs to one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, Marcus Allen, through their first 22 games, the stats match up there, and Josh Jacobs very favorably to the all-time great Marcus Allen, who he has regular conversations with and talks about, what it's like to be an NFL running back and how to kind of sustain greatness for a long period of time.
Yeah. Well, on a more serious note here, the Raider Nation is in mourning Ricky Ricardo, owner of the famous Ricky Sports Theater and Grill in San Leandro, California, recently passed away from Alzheimer's disease. He was 75. The Raiders said in a tweet, the Raiders family mourns the passing of Ricky Ricardo, owner of Ricky Sports and Theater and Grill in San Leandro. Ricky was a friend to the entire Raider Nation, and his kindness will be missed in the East Bay and beyond. We here at Vegas Nation send our condolences to his family.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Vegas Nation Blitz is your weekly source for Raiders news.
We're going to stick together, bond together. We're going to make some changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz brings you fast takes and smart coverage.
When you look at the drop passes, that's concentration. It's not talent.
Vegas Nation Blitz, new episodes airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignor.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Fang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
The Road Ahead is sponsored by the Richard Harris Law Firm. Just in case. Injured? Call 444-4444.
Welcome back to Vegas Nation Game Day. I'm Cassie Soto here with Adam Hill. Remember that you can get the latest updates on this game and all things Raiders. You can head on over to vegasnation.com. Adam, after the Raiders enjoy some turkey and some pie and some green beans, all that good stuff, the road ahead will take them to Atlanta to face the Falcons.
Yeah, let's hope they're not too full when they take the field, because it is a challenge. The Falcons, their record has not been good, early in the year in particular, but they've been much, much better the last couple weeks. They made the coaching change. Raheem Morris comes in. He's really taken over. That defense has been a lot better since he took over that role. So a much improved team. And this is the first week I remember that all three Falcons receivers have no injury designation. They're all healthy. So we'll see if that lasts against the Saints today. You can watch them play them and then on to the Raiders next week. But not an easy task despite the Falcons' record.
Yeah, all right, well, now let's head back out to Allegiant Stadium for some final thoughts on today's game from Heidi Fang, Ed Graney, and Vinny Bonsignor. Heidi.
Thanks, guys, and here's our final thoughts from Allegiant Stadium with your crew here on the field. So it's Heidi Fang, and I think the thing that we need to really look at in this game, Derek Carr throwing deep passes early against the Chiefs and making them have to really defend against stretching the field. Vinny, what do you got here?
Well, certainly COVID-19 reared its ugly head again for the Raiders this week, especially defensively. No Cleve Farrell, no LaMarcus Joyner, no Corey Littleton. 7 key defensive players, including safety Jonathan Abram, were not able to practice this week. I want to see how quickly this defense can get it together, both physically and mentally, because the Kansas City Chiefs are going to bring it from snap one. The Raiders need to be ready from snap one to get after it, and wonder about that defense in that regard.
All right, Ed, what's your take?
Raiders have won 3 straight. Why? They've controlled the ball, they've run the ball, they've controlled the clock. That's what I want to see. Can Josh Jacobs in that run game continue to control the clock, keep Pat Mahomes off the field?
There you have it from Allegiant Stadium. Back to you in the studio.
That will do it for this edition of Vegas Nation Game Day. We hope you have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. For our entire Vegas Nation team, he's Adam Hill. I'm Cassie Soto. Thank you so much for watching.